time for me to bring out my next panel, which is about the emergence of next-gen AI workforce opportunities and beyond. Now, AI is touted as the most sought-after skills amongst the cachet of exponential technologies. Now, there are 265 plus job lattice and career pathways that exist in AI arena, and the range and spread of roles gets further contextualized based on industry segments and business functions. With the proliferation of AI roles, entry level and lateral flooding the market, ensuing skills, competencies, and attributes will come into the larger focus to get the right fitment. Now, the panel will brainstorm on the new order of expectations from enterprises for AI workforce, coupled with critical skills and competencies, along with gainful opportunities that are often not visible but are up for grab. We welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, to our next session, which is the panel discussion, Emergence of NextGen AI Workforce Opportunities and Beyond. And we have a slew of speakers who are all charged up to take this panel to the next level. And first among them is the AI COE lead, Reliance Jio, Shivani Rai Gupta. Now, Shivani is a thought leader in analytics and AI with 2 decades of experience in global diversified delivery, innovation, and business development. She is an expert in cognitive computing, machine learning, and AI-driven automation. Working with unstructured data like voice, image, document, and video is her current passion, and she is instrumental in developing many new solutions leveraging AI. So welcome it is to our first panelist, Shivani Rai Gupta. And the next panelist is the Chief Strategy Officer and Chief Innovation Officer, Trident's, Soumendra Mahanti. Soumendra Mahanti is the Chief Strategy Officer and Chief Innovation Officer at Trident's and has led key growth portfolios, IIoT, data analytics, AI, intelligent RPA, digital integration, digital experience platforms, bringing in world-class capabilities, innovative solutions, and transformation-led outcomes, led value propositions to all their clients. Now, with a career spanning over 25 years, Soumendra has held various leadership roles at Accenture, Mindtree, L&T Infotech, leading multifaceted P&L functions, including M&A advisory for technology growth strategies and startup ecosystems. So please welcome Soumendra Mohanty. And the third speaker is the Director Analytics, Swiggy, Ishu Jain. Ishu is a senior analytics leader with diverse work experience in delivering analytical insights in Dell, Genpact, Fractal, Target, and Swiggy for business entities across geographies. Now, she has delivered statistical insights to enable executive decisions across business verticals like marketing, sales, and customer support. She has extensive experience in working on both sides of the system as a vendor and as well as a client. An alumnus of the Sri Ram College of Commerce and Delhi School of Economics. May we present to you our third speaker for this panel, Ishu Jain. And the fourth panelist here is the Head of Analytics and Data Sciences, Philips Global Business Services, Shashwat Kar. Now, Shashwat is the Head of Analytics and Data Sciences for Philips GBS globally. He leads the team of Advanced Analytics and Data Sciences and is also the site lead of Bangalore for GBS. Now, he has experience of more than 18 years in advanced analytics, data sciences, and performance management in healthcare, retail services, cards, consumer lending, mortgages, and auto portfolios. He has proven track record in improving organizational effectiveness via usage of advanced analysis and operational excellence practices. Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth speaker for this panel, Shashwat Kar. And moderating this lovely panel here with us is the Head Analytics Lens Card, Saurabh Agarwal. Saurabh Agarwal is an entrepreneurial mindset leader with first principle approach to innovation, passion for building digital enterprise and consumer products and solutions with the use of exponential technologies in the e-commerce, financial services, and manufacturing domains. And with about 2 decades of experience, Saurabh has established profitable business units or divisions in digital product and enterprise analytics and businesses from scratch. He has held various leadership positions earlier on with American Express, Tata Group, and Motherson Group. So without further ado, please welcome the moderator for this lovely panel, Head Analytics Lens Card, Saurabh Agarwal. And members of the panel, before I hand this over to you, please remember that you'll have to finish this on time. In case you hear a gong, you will know there's only 2 minutes left for you to finish it. So go ahead, over to Saurabh Agarwal.
Thank you very much, Riaz, and it's a lovely panelist which we have. So, and we have a very diverse set of panelists, starting from product companies. We have people, we have Ishu joining us from Swiggy, who's been working on how to use analytics to fulfill the hunger, especially in the COVID times. We have Shivani, who talked about Reliance Jio, and a very diverse set of panelists across. Uh, Next gen AI workforce is one of the biggest, is a very passionate topic for all of us, especially with almost like a million plus workforce today from India involved in some kind of analytics processes and jobs. The analytics market worldwide is expected to be about 35 billion right now and is growing to about 100 billion. While India is one of the foremost countries to provide talent services, it contributes only to about 10% as of now, and it's expected to grow exponentially. But a lot of AI talent today in India is serving for outside the country, especially US and Europe. Uh, and that is one growth area which we see. I want to start this panel discussion by inviting Som to talk about his views on how he sees the demand from the talent coming out from the US side and the Americas and Europe side, outside the country especially.
Oh, thank you, Saurabh, for that, and thanks for a lovely evening with all the esteemed panelists. A pleasure to be here. What I see, first, the AI demand is skyrocketing, and it is becoming much more, I would say, ingrained and embedded within the business processes. Earlier, it was primarily as a standalone or outside of the systems that runs the business, and the outputs or the recommendations that finally gets fed into the business processes. But today, the demand that we see is more and more getting embedded and ingrained into the business itself. So hence, it is more outcome oriented, if you may. And it is 5 year back, 6 year back, probably, the color of the demand or the spectrum of the demand was largely into do you know data, how to handle data, volume data, real-time data? Do you know how to do it on a platform for scale and performance and accuracy? Do you know how to work on sophisticated algorithms to crunch these things? And of course, how do you present and the findings? But what I see also the spectrum and the maturity of the demand is further moving on to storytelling, to business problem solving, and also a lot about translating what the business is looking for and what data algorithms, platforms, and technology can solve for it. So this is how the interesting pattern changes are happening on the demand side. Now, you also asked US and Europe and then all the other places. Yeah, the pattern is the same. It keeps on increasing every other day. But I also see something very heartening in India. In several of my conversations and problem solving with clients in India, it is very diverse as well, starting from agriculture to logistics to pharma to digital banking and healthcare and construction. So I feel that AI is also being looked upon as a differentiator, as an advantage, and it is sipping into the way India businesses were operating earlier versus now they're looking for the edge to happen, the outcomes to be taking shape.
Thanks, Som. And I totally agree with you that there is a huge demand for AI coming from the outside. Switching over to what's happening on the AI side, on the India side, I'll request Dr. Shivani to throw some light. It's an interesting story with what Reliance has done over the last 50, 60 years. It started with polyester, it went into retail, it went into then oil, then it went into into data and digital. And especially with the company which is transforming so rapidly, would like to hear from you, how does a conglomerate like Reliance look at AI and what's the future of Reliance and AI talent, especially looking for?
Very nice question, Saurabh. Thank you for asking this, and I think it's a great platform. Thank you for inviting me. Pleasure to be part of this. And I think I have a question before I jump into this answer to Riaz that in Hindi we ask that, right? किस चक्की का आटा खाते हो भाई? इतनी एनर्जी कहाँ से आती है? Right. So coming back to the point, Saurabh, I think Reliance, it is all about scale, right? If you talk about the number of verticals we are having and number of new areas where we are getting into, as you rightly said, that we started with telecom or petroleum, and then we have retail, then we have media. Now we are also getting into probably healthcare and agriculture, because we want to reach out to each and every person, each and every Indian in India. So this requires tons and tons of scalability. We want to build the products which can be probably built and deployed in a quick turnaround time. We don't believe in probably doing the same activity for each and every vertical. It has to be a platform centric approach, and because of that we require people of all the caliber. So if we talk about AI as an ecosystem, data scientists probably are the core people who drive or build the core capabilities, but we require other people also. Either they are big data engineer to work with the largest set of the data, or the system engineers to deploy these solutions. We require a lot of, I think, storytellers and the solution experts, which Som was talking about, to take the business problem, convert that to AI, take the AI solution and convert that to business insights and KPIs. And a lot of product managers and the people who can handle the products, and also the people who can take probably one product from one vertical and able to reutilize these products to other verticals. So I think scalability is the name of the game in Reliance. We not only building the products which is going to help the businesses, but we are also building the products which are for common men, people, right? AI, so far, if till now, it has not reached to the common men, the farmers, or Indians who are in second tier or third tier cities. And that is the objective what Reliance is looking forward for.
Thank you very much, Shivani. And it's a very interesting perspective that we heard a lot of people who have a background in financial analytics, and most of us started around that. And it's now going into AI in everywhere. You talked about agriculture, we talked about healthcare. So today, if we see the statistics which Prime Minister Modi has been talking about, that India is moving from a 2.5 trillion economy to a 5 trillion economy, and about $500+ billion impact will be created by AI. And with the COVID times, healthcare is a big area which we see AI will be disrupted. Philips has been there for about almost what I understand is 200+ years. It started with a company which created a bulb, and now it's heavy into healthcare and personal grooming. And I would like to ask Saswat about how he sees the transformation of AI central to the evolution of Philips as an organization, and what does he see the talent needs of the company emerging into? So if you could share some thoughts of yours.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. I hope I am audible. So two parts to, you have two questions. The first question is more about, where do healthcare industries, where is healthcare industry headed towards, right? I mean, essentially right now what we have, I'll broaden it a little bit, given that, what we are talking about is, electronics, software, sensor, as well as intelligence. Right now we are also on the data side because, I kind of lead data analytics, but the situation or the point in time we are in when electronics is, fully abundant, sensors are abundant, and, software is abundant, as well as intelligence is abundant, which means that it leads us to the, collection, analysis, exchange data, and drive that to automate our decisions, right? So right now, what, for example, Philips is going towards is there are many use cases, right? One of the use case which everybody will will always allude to, or everybody will understand, is really patient with any chronic condition will always benefit, from a set of interconnected monitoring devices that will help them to manage their condition on a daily environment, right? Based on whatever personalized feedback. We know that, that has already accelerated as per some of the esteemed panelists talked about. So we are in very exciting times. We have dirt cheap electronic software sensors, and we have brilliant, analysts and intelligence community, which is, taking this to the next level. So I think this is the right time. Healthcare is going through mass change, and this is one of the examples that I gave. On the talent side, when we talk about AI, we should always remember that it's not only about the technology, it is also about how do we democratize the technology, which means that AI is good, but what does that mean? Some of the cartoons that were shared in the last discussion, right? I mean, the translation of AI is going to become very big, very important. And it's not only about a machine learning model giving something, but it's also about how do I interpret that data. Not only that, how do I even build the model? Explainability of AI is going to become very important, and that is where I do see a big talent need, apart from the topics that we already covered, which is on the business intelligence side, or on the electronic side, or Internet of Things side.
Yep. Thanks, Aspat. And with this, I will kind of ask Ishu about more around the skills, and it must be a hard thing. We also face in Lenskart, helping our employees understand the business is a big challenge. Okay, we are solving for a business need, and only knowing Python, only knowing SAS, only knowing SQL is not enough. So from a skill perspective, hard skill versus soft skills, what do you see the divide moving towards?
Hi, everyone. Good evening to everybody. So in terms of skills, right, the way I look at it, and I'll draw heavily from my experience the last couple of years, where either I was in a consulting firm or right now as I'm part of a product company. Number one is that one needs to have a strong sense of business impact. So so from the soft skill side, people have to be very curious. We are looking for continuously curious minds who can ask the right questions and communicate. So it is not about being sophisticated or being able to talk. It's about, are you able to communicate what you're trying to tell, or are you able to ask the right questions so that a right product, right analysis, right algorithm is built. So that is extremely important as one has to progress, and it always have to be consumer backwards. It has to be, how is my product going to get used? The line of conversation or the line of questioning has to be in terms of who is the consumer and how it's going to get used, and what is the business impact am I looking at. If those are not happening, then any hard skill you pick up is not going to get you very far in the game. There's going to be a growth which is going to get stuck at somewhere, because people are going to say you're a technique. That's all. And that's where you get branded and get stuck. From the hard skill perspective, whatever my understanding is over my career as well as what I see today, some logical coding needs to be understood and practiced. So whether it is Hive, whether it is we do Snowflake, whether it is R, Python, however, even if it is C, C++, you should know how to run loops. One has to learn how to write efficient codes. One has to learn how to debug yourself. All of this is not going away. So logical thinking and coding, now whichever form it is, because obviously it will keep changing as times evolve. But some of the things will remain core to a data-driven job, and that's not going away. We can have drag drop in terms of algorithms, but unless and until you even understand those, you won't know what to drag drop, and you wouldn't know what to change in the backend, just in case you're stuck, right? So that is something very important. Personally, I would probably add a little color to it of my personal opinion here when it comes to hard skills. I prefer people who are slightly deep than broad. So when I am talking to a candidate who says I know deep learning, forecasting, Arimax, Verimax, this, that, then my takeaway is he knows nothing. Because these are just vast areas, right? And if you are 2 years or 3 years of experience and you tell me that I know these 15, 20 algorithms, I'm not going to believe you. So I feel the younger generation today, which is entering this field, should focus on getting deep. On choose your areas, get deep. If you want to be more generalist with respect to how the business should run, or because we need all kinds of people, right? We need people who can interpret. We need people who can write algorithms. We need people who can then deploy those algorithms on systems. But the depth is important, and
Yep.
that is what they should use.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Knowing the hard skills is key, but interpreting and translating is a big challenge today, which we see in a lot of areas. You touched upon a little bit of low code, no code, and here I would want to ask Saswat. He has been deep into coding in past, and how does he see evolution of the platforms? And where is the divide happening? Will more people like we have knowing Excel skills is becoming for everyone? In fact, my CEO asked me to interview an HR person to test his Excel skills. So knowing a basic Excel is important. Do you think AI skills will become something like that in future, that everyone should be knowing a basic of AI, and there might be some golden tool? So Saswat, your thoughts?
Sure. Thanks, Saurav and Ishu. I think cannot agree more to the depth question. I think core competence is very important for anyone, even if that is, I'm sure literature will play a very big role in interpretation of AI, right? I mean, the base future is in a few years' time, and I will not go 10 years, much less than that. No code, low code is going to become reality. It's already a reality. So, which means that it's really about the interpretation of that information and how do I communicate it or articulate it in the most, formulate it in a way in which business can understand very well. I think that is where we need, but the basic is important, meaning some understanding of AI has to be there. Otherwise, it is very difficult to, interpret, right? So that is where I see a big gap. The right interpreters, or in my word, AI explanators, will be the need in future a lot, and that can come from various fields, diverse fields. They need to know math for sure, for example, and as I said, they have to be core competence. They should know what they are supposed to know, and they should go deep into that. Saurabh.
Okay, thanks, Aswath. I think so. Having a lot of AI interpreters will be the key, because AI will enter all the functions. I want to ask Som here that to build these products which are low code, no code, what's the talent skill which we need in the future? And when I'm saying this, just think about 3 to 5 years, because that's the horizon we are entering in.
Look, I agree with Shashwat violently, actually, the way he was putting it across. I find the solutioning, the design patterns that we have followed over the last 5-10 years has always been about data-driven, data first, and then we apply, like Ishu was pointing out, we put algorithms, and then we come out with the presentations and then findings of it. In my view, what in the next 3 to 5 years, there has to be a very concerted effort of how do you design AI solutions with a scale, with a performance, with empathy into it, conversational nature embedded into it, self-learning capabilities embedded into it. Maybe 10 years back, the digital design patterns took off, because mobile was the new thing, and hence we all started focusing on design thinking, design patterns for mobile applications. I think in the next 3 to 5 years, the most important thing will be the design thinking patterns for AI solutions, right? And in that context, the low code, no code obviously will have to deal with the core competencies like Shashwat was pointing out. You must know how to deal with volume data, real-time data, and streaming data coming in. You must also know how to manage the scale without somebody going in the back of the hood and fiddling around. It has to be auto scaling. You must also design platforms which is empathy oriented. It understands who is interacting, and then it will be more user persona oriented. Some of us, when we adopt these low code, no code platforms, and it is already happening, my analysis versus Isu's analysis for the same problem is very different. Shivani might be taking a very different route for the same problem, looking for different symptoms. And Shashwat will be coming in from a left side and asking some very contrarian views, right? But we're all looking at the same problem statement with the same data, maybe same set of algorithms and same set of KPIs, but in very different manner. So the low-code, no-code platforms of tomorrow will need to also understand what is the user persona they are interacting with, and hence they will remember, oh, this person takes analysis this way, and hence how they can improve, what more I can give them. And this other person follows the analysis path in a very different way, and hence here is how I need to mold myself. And hence the core competencies are extremely important, but abstraction, scale, empathy, user persona, these are the things need to come into these design thinking patterns. That's my view.
Thanks, Om. It's a very interesting perspective. When I get reached out by students today, they talk about which is the language should I learn? Is it Python? Is it R? Which library? Which model do I learn? But when I hear this panel, it is all about design thinking. It's all about empathy. It looks like to me that they have to do a PhD in psychology and human behavior. So that's where I guess the divide which is coming in is important. Today, just an interesting stats that today we have about close to 1 million people in India working on the field of AI. Yesterday itself, Prime Minister Modi talked about AI for all, and Intel has partnered with CBSE to introduce a curriculum to generate more than 1 million people who are AI literate. So the generalist of AI will definitely increase quite a bit. And with that, I will want to ask everyone a final question around, and this is something which happened personally with me. There was a person in 11th class. He asked me, "Sir, I want to build a career in AI. What's the next skill should I build?" Now, looking at what's happened with Sophie, which is an humanoid, should we tell them to build a technical skill in AI, or should we go towards a generalist skill of a deep subject? What would be your view, and would request you to be mutually exclusive in your opinions? So I would ask Shivani to start with, and maybe 15 seconds each, please. Yeah.
I think reasoning or problem solving is the key. It does not depend on any language or any particular thing. If you are able to solve, so I think analytical mind is the key in this area. If we are able to think through about problem solving, we will be able to understand the analytics and the AI part really well. So that's my 2 cents.
Thanks. Shashwat, please.
Sure. I think I use the word core competence as an overkill. I think if a person is good in literature, the person needs to really be good in literature. And if a person is good in coding, then the person really needs to know everything that is possible with respect to that particular field of coding. So the message is, whatever you really love to do and you are good at, please specialize, because that is what will create the key differentiator for you as a brand. And not only that, one more thing that I want to call out is, when we say low code, no code, it is low code, no code for the users. For at the end of the day, somebody has to develop it. And whoever is developing it has to be an expert, really expert in that. Middle way will not work.
Yep.
That's
Thanks. Ishu, your thoughts?
I will just say something which is really catching up these days would be behavioral sciences. So how if people have to choose a certain area, maybe behavioral sciences, and being able to solve hyper-local business cases. I would
Sure.
just leave it at
Yep. So from your side.
Yeah, I agree with all these points. I would put it this way: that do not start with data, algorithms, platforms, etc. first. Start with questions first. What is the outcome? What problem I'm solving? And you need to have develop a flair for it. Once you have that, algorithms and languages and platforms, those evolve very fast. You will get to know that anyway. Core competency needs to be developed in those areas, that is given. But it is start with the questions first mindset, and then rest is you can follow.
And thank you very much, Som. I think so. Curiosity is the main thing which will drive the innovations, and we definitely have a lot of tech skills getting developed across. We need a lot of people to use AI across, who will be the implementers and translators of it. And we will have deep people who will be coding AI, and there will be a narrow divide, like there will be a shift of technology and AI coming through. With all of these things, a huge amount of talent upsurge is required. A lot of the future leaders of enterprises, like we have Arvind Krishna, who is the head of IBM. He was an AI leader. We have Sundar Pichai. So 3i has a lot of leadership in the panelists, and which will be the future leaders in the coming years. So wishing all of them a best of luck towards this and creating a great future for all of us. And back to you.
Thank you very much, Saurabh, and all of those panelists. Absolutely wonderful. To going back to the question that Shivani asked, is मिट्टी में वो बात है कि energy अपने आप आ जाती है. So all the best to you. Good luck and God bless each and every one of you.